DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
Glomgold! Hello, children. Bait for sale. Buy 7 tentacles, the 8th is free. Buckets of savings.
Glomgold?
Aish!
What's with the South African accent? Why is your posture so good? What's on your face?
Just a bushy beard forged from a life on the sea.
It's the week of Monday, November 5th, and you're listening to episode 48 of DuckTalks. Hey there, and welcome to DuckTalks. We're glad to have you. Thanks for listening to our podcast, checking us out. My name's Mitch. I'm one of your hosts. I have Pirate Steven and Josh with me again this week.
Ahoy there.
Hey guys.
Woohoo. So have you guys had a Glomgold filled week? Or I guess weekend. We've not quite gotten through the week yet.
That was marvelous.
I don't know, is it too much Glomgold?
No, you can never have too much Glomgold.
Come on. There's no such thing.
Would you say it was just enough Glomgold, or was it lacking just a little?
You know what? It was perfect amount of Glomgold. I could have used a dash of Launchpad, but perfect amount of Glomgold.
Maybe that's what it was missing, a dash of Launchpad. We will definitely be talking a lot about Glomgold tonight because we reached out to our friends on Twitter and asked them to respond with hashtag always Glomgold with their favorite Glomgold moments from season 1 and so far in season 2. And we've got a lot of great tweets to read. We also will be reviewing that episode later in this podcast, typically toward the end. But before we do that, we're going to jump into things with some feedback. We want to thank everyone who listens to the podcast wherever you listen to it. We'd love to hear where you're listening to our podcast. I mean, we know a lot of people are listening on Apple Podcast. We see the numbers are doing really well over on YouTube. We're impressed with the number of people who are listening there already. We've just started doing that. I think we've got like 3 or 4 episodes up. And so thank you for that. And so wherever you're listening to us from, tweet at us at DuckTalks. Let us know about it. We'd like to hear where you're hearing this podcast from. Over at Apple Podcast, we received some feedback from one of our fans. The name is different, but I'm pretty sure this is One John Jedi. And he gave us a 5-star review. I don't have a bell to ding, but I feel like I should ding a bell or something. And it says, this is a great DuckTales podcast that also references the classic comics of Carl Barks and Don Rosa. Totally worth subscribing. Very honored to have that review. Thank you for that. It puts us up to, I think we've had 12 ratings, mostly positive, but that gives us a 5.0 out of 5 on Apple Podcasts. That helps us reach more people. So thank you, Mr. Jedi, for that review. And, if you go to Apple Podcast and give us a review or give us a rating, actually, I guess it has to be a review. If you give us a review, we'll see the name of the person who did it, and we'll read it on the show. So no pressure. But we do really try that again. But we do really appreciate it if you'll go and give us that rating, because that does also help us get more exposure to people who are looking for DuckTales or cartoon podcasts. Speaking of the other ways that you listen to us, YouTube, if you give us a like there, maybe subscribe, hit that bell. I'm not really a YouTuber, so I'm not used to requesting those things, but just so you know when our content's coming out. Have you guys listened to the podcast on YouTube yet?
Well, I'm the one making it, so yeah, I've listened to it a little bit.
Pirate's still trying to get used to being back from vacation.
Yeah, he fell asleep over there.
I'm awake.
We received a few emails this past week. One of those emails was from a listener named Bella, and Bella had a very important question for us. This is something we talk about on our show a lot, unintentionally. but Bella's going to call us out on it. Can you talk about who you ship in the show and more about each of your favorite episodes? And then Bella said that her favorite episodes are The Other Ben of Scrooge McDuck, The Shadow War, Jaws, and the up-and-coming Ballad of Duke Baloney. She was calling that one before the episode aired, which was a good call. Honestly, it was a good call. So shipping. We like a lot of shipping. We like, Shop Disney has some great deals on shipping. We're Prime members because we like shipping.
We like space shipping.
We like space shipping.
The Spirit of Selene shipping.
Yeah, the Spirit of Selene was an awesome ship. I shipped that. Now, we're kind of joking because it was a horrible attempt at joking, but we tried it. So shipping. We don't talk a lot about shipping. We're not shippers. I don't think I've ever shipped anything in my life. As far as shows. It's just not part of my fandom. I think it's cool that people, that there's a fandom out there that enjoys that part. And I know the people involved in the show have kind of endorsed the fact that, fandom enjoys shipping. But it's just not something that I've ever done. I don't pay attention to the relationships other than the friendships. In one of our old chats before we started working on DuckTalks, we were... It was our Overwatch chat that we were involved in, and people were talking about shipping, and I had to ask. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean you ship? And they were like, relationship.
One of the things that I noticed, Launchpad seems to have a lot of ships. We know in the House of Lucky Gander, he was trying to get to one of his past ships.
Right.
And then in the Feathery episode from this season, he was trying to save another person that he's shipped.
Oceanica. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
looked like a mermaid.
Yeah, I feel like we need a whole episode about all of Launchpad's relationships.
Oh yeah, I'm on board with that. I definitely would like to have some episodes about Launchpad's solo adventures and find out about, his ships. Now, Frank's spoken to that. He said that Launchpad has had many loves in his life. and I know you've attempted to ship him with Della before on this show.
I did do that one time.
And there was something about Glomgold being the kid's dad.
Well, we knew Glomgold's not as old as we thought now.
Right.
From this past episode. But something just came to my head. Doesn't Goslin have red hair and so does Launchpad? No, never mind.
Oh.
but see, that's not really shipping, right? That's like the opposite. We're talking about parental relationship.
Reverse shipping.
Reverse shipping. We're going to reverse engineer this thing. So
the results of shipping.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to read Bella's email and her question was because we're not against shipping. We don't. It's not part of our fandom. It's not the conversations that we're typically going to have.
But to get to her second part of her question, I do like that she mentioned Jaws as one of the best episodes.
That's a really great episode. I
do love me some Jaws.
All those Spielberg references and call-outs were great.
Yeah, when I tend to think of season one, I like the Jaws episode, the two Gizmo Duck episodes, Don Carnage episode, and the Gladstone episode, as well as the last few episodes in the season that, with the last Crash of the Sun Chaser, I think is one of the best.
Yeah, and the other bit of Scrooge McDuck is one of those episodes that's just really intense. And it has its funny moments, but it's really, really intense with some of those scenes, and left me speechless when it first happened. I couldn't believe it that they did that. And then Duke of Baloney's kind of long, or Duke of Baloney. I keep going back to the Bart story. Duke Baloney, the Ballad of Duke Baloney. I'm gonna spit it out here in a minute. That dream sequence and stuff. I couldn't believe that they did that. There was really good moments in the show. Very different. Now, last week we had an email that was asking us about our top 5 funniest episodes, and me and Josh went through and did that. We put together our top 5 list, and we talked for like an hour on what we thought were the funniest episodes. So we'll try to do a little bit more of that. This week, we're going to talk about our listeners and followers on Twitter's favorite Glomgold moments. So we're going to talk about the episodes a little bit more. We really appreciate your email, Bella. Thank you for listening and for reaching out to us. And if you have a question or a comment on the show, you can send that to ducktalkspod@gmail.com. Let us know if you don't want us to read your email on the podcast. We do have people who email us. They just want to talk about about DuckTales and about DuckTalks, and they don't necessarily want to be on the podcast. So let us know if you don't want us to read it. Otherwise, we'll enjoy reading your email on the podcast. You guys ready to get to Always Glomgold?
Oh, yeah.
So this week we reached out to everyone. We asked, what was your favorite Glomgold moment? So we're going to read a few of these. We got a lot. I was really impressed with the amount of Glomgold fans that follow our podcast. I mean, who would have ever expected that?
Does anybody else have their hand raised?
Yeah, my hand's raised.
This is an audio podcast, so I can't see.
You're right. So I'll begin. I'll read the first one. So at Avid Film says, I was surprised to find out just what a deeply disturbed individual Glomgold actually is. I mean, to bury himself completely within a persona just to outdo someone else is borderline psychotic. Strong stuff for a kid's show. I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, we already had a hint of that. I mean, we saw in the Mark Beeks episode where Glomgold took off his beard that maybe Glomgold wasn't who we thought he was. And of course, he's always going on about how he's more Scottish and he wears a kilt. And then his music is more Scottish and all that stuff. So we kind of
his visa says that he's more Scottish.
Right, the most Scottish. So yeah, I would agree. It is strong stuff for a kid's show. Funny moments and some disturbing moments.
So the next viewer that got back to us with this Glomgold evening said it's from @GetYourWattsOn, and their favorite moment was.
Wait, how did you know it was me?
It's always you.
And it always will be!
From the great one Scrooge birthday episode, and that actually Frank actually said that was his favorite moment as well.
Yeah, Frank Angona, as the co-producer of the show, reached out and said that was one of his, and that's one of, as far as for this show, that's one of the moments in the show that I think of when I think of Glomgold.
It was a hilarious line, and Keith Ferguson does such a great job with that character. Like I said, he's my favorite character from this reboot. Glomgold wasn't my favorite character in the classic one, so they've just reimagined his character so well that it's launched him into that number one spot for me. Also, like right around this time when he says that line when he just says classic Glomgold, I think that's hilarious.
And eventually I ran out of time, shoved a spare bomb in a gift box and ran over. Ha! Oh, classic Glomgold.
Oh yeah, it's when he fails at something and he's classic Glomgold. He does it to himself. All right, so the next one is a tweet from Pigs Fairy, and they say he steals every scene he's in with his adorable design and Keith Ferguson's amazing performance. I love that scene where he tosses his heart into the ship's boiler, resulting in him being consumed by money. It's such a sad, symbolic moment. And that dream sequence was pretty dark.
Yeah. Especially for such a hilarious character.
It is. I'm just surprised that they have such a range in the show where they can have all this humor, but then they also can bring in these dark moments And then they brought this a little bit in season 1 as well with Lena and Magika's kind of relationship. But it's such a dark, meaningful moment that they are able to bring to the show that it's really surprising for a kids show nowadays. But it also kind of brings a little bit more depth and richness to the series.
We should also tell people to follow Sam King on Twitter. Her @ is @SamanthaC King. And she is a storyboard artist on DuckTales. And she loves Glomgold. And she did some great storyboards for that dream sequence. And she posts a lot on Twitter, a lot of her cool stuff from Glomgold in this episode. So you should definitely check her out on the Twitter.
Yeah, this episode was a big treat for her. She shared a lot of images from her boards, which was really cool. And I think she might be the artist who created the shirtless Glomgold t-shirt that says "Stay Glomgolden" that we saw on Twitter not long ago. So yeah, she's a big fan of the character. Let's read a tweet from Bry to Turner. And Bryce says, easily the Ballad of Duke Baloney. Just shows that he's no villain to take lightly despite being so funny. Amazing how much thought and care was put into Glomgold's backstory. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. And then a winking emoji. Definitely. The Ballad of Duke Baloney confirmed what I've been thinking about the character. You know, we have seen some people online who felt like the villains are a little too goofy. And especially Glomgold, because he's never really been, Pirate said it before too, he's never really been that iconic of a character. He's never really been my favorite villain of DuckTales, but I hadn't read the comics until recently. And as I'm reading the comics, I'm liking comics Glomgold better than I did Glomgold from the 80s cartoon. But when it comes to this Glomgold, I love this character. He is one of my favorite characters in this show. And I think he's so insane that he's dangerous. And I think this episode proves that. So I would agree. I agree with Bry. Duke Baloney is a great Glomgold moment, and it's full of Glomgold moments.
Yeah, and his backstory, we should say his backstory does differ a little bit from the comics versions. Don Rosa in the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, he has Scrooge meeting Glomgold in South Africa when they're around the same age. Mm-hmm. So it's different from the cartoon version that we just saw, where he's meeting him. Glomgold is much younger than Scrooge. Yeah. Find out in this episode.
And someone was telling me that in the comics, Glomgold, although he was in South Africa, his family came from Scotland. So he was Scottish in heritage, but he grew up in South Africa. And so that embracing his Scottish roots was not so much, to kind of prove something against Scrooge. It was to prove something to himself. So that is a difference in the cartoon and the comics as well.
Okay, the next Glomgold classic moment is from Will's Girl L on Twitter. She's at Not a Foolish Wit. And her favorite moment was from the White Agony Falls episode, where Glomgold's wrapped up in what he's talking about, and then he says, "What were you doing in a one-person elevator with Scrooge?"
What are you doing here? I told you I was handling it.
And I was handling Scrooge. I mean, I almost had him with that one-man elevator.
You idiot. I was in that one-man elevator, too.
What were you doing in a one-person elevator with Scrooge?
Yeah. That was a fun episode with his jealousy.
That was a fantastic episode. I think one of my favorites, there's so many, was when they went back into the old comic storyboard version of how Glomgold saw himself.
Oh, yeah.
I just loved that scene. I thought that was so funny that he did that.
The next one is from Grim Phantom. He puts a gif of Glomgold taking off his black beard and putting back on his gray beard. And that part is just funny because Louis is just like, did he have that in his pocket the whole time?
Yeah.
His Blackbeard actually gets struck by lightning and burns off.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But it's whenever he puts on the fake gray beard, it's just funny. He did that in the first Mark Beeks episode.
And it was so surprising in that Mark Beeks episode when, he rides up and he's got that goofy mustache on, which is just weird, a mustache on a beak. And then he puts the beard on. I was like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. So, we knew Glomgold wasn't exactly, but this is who he is. I think that's what this is signaling. Wherever he came from, whatever he was, he is Glomgold now. And, he's... Duke Baloney's no more. I thought it was interesting that Duke Baloney was his original name, or at least it was his street name. Maybe that still wasn't his original name. But it was an iconic part of this episode.
I thought we were going to get some singing with this title being Ballad.
Oh, some shanties.
Baloney. We had some singing, but nothing I would see on a soundtrack.
Yeah, with the Ballad of Duke Baloney, I was about midweek. I think I had of last week. I had tweeted something about I'm wondering if we're going to get some music and some song and dance in this episode. So I was surprised it didn't happen. The next tweet that we're going to read is from the Muse. That's our buddy Jason, Kingdom Hearts expert, and Jason says, "Stay Glomgolden." It's definitely become iconic for us. Was that actually in an episode?
Yeah, that was from the Goldie one.
Okay, I know
I thought we said it was in there, but then I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I think it's some. I know that it's on their T-shirts that they did. And what episode was that from? That was from the Gizmo Duck episode where Gizmo Duck's painting Glomgold when he's working for Mark Beeks.
I feel like doesn't he tell Goldie to stay Glomgolden or something? And he calls himself Glomgoldie.
He does call them Glomgoldie. Yeah, I think he even says classic Glomgold. Classic
Glomgoldie.
Yeah, Glomgoldie moment or something like that. But Glomgolden, I feel like it has to be in there, but I haven't come back across it. Jason, if you know where it was, let us know.
You want to re-say that?
Oh, I was just saying, Jason, if you know where it's at, let us know. Or if anyone knows where it's at, reach out to us at DuckTalks, Twitter.
The next tweet we got was from Mackenzie Worrell at Mac Worrell. I hope I said your name right. He's paraphrasing this gem. I learned a perfect Scottish accent, and he cuts to Glomgold with a tape player nearby. Please pass the haggis. You don't tell me what to do. And he swats the tape player away.
Missing something, McDuck? Ha ha ha! My schemes are half cooked, eh? Well, here's this for full cooked. First, I'll use your own money to create a superior Scottish persona.
Please pass the haggis.
Don't tell me what to do. Finally, I'll dedicate the rest of my life to besting Scrooge McDuck.
That's classic Glomgold in there.
Next one is Ryan Silverman. And they say, because the Glomgold from the 80s series was still in my mind, I never would have expected the superbly hammed up take this reboot offered. So, as soon as his employee video was shown in the premiere, I cracked up hard and was immediately sold on this new take of him.
Glomgold Industries. Take an idea, make it your own. Better, faster, cheaper. That's the motto of the world's most beloved Scottish billionaire duck, Flintheart Glomgold.
Yeah, take an idea, make it your own. I think that was fun and the best of the cheapest.
The best of the cheapest.
Welcome, new employees, to Glomgold Industries.
where our employees are the greatest treasure of all! Glomgold! Glomgold! Glom! Fine, enough glad-handing. You're here because you're the best of the cheapest. With your help and my carefully crafted master plan, we'll find the fabled lost jewel of Atlantis and finally make me the richest duck in the world! But first, here are your company IDs. Also good for 40% off life vest rental in case of emergency.
Yeah, they definitely did set the tone for him in the show from that first episode.
Yeah, and it came at the halfway point of the series premiere. You know, we see him as the first half is ending when we realize that Donald's just hired on with Flintheart Glomgold. And then when the show comes back from the commercial break, we get that intro for Glomgold Industries. And it was just perfect. It was the perfect introduction to this character. You learned everything you needed to know about Flintheart Glomgold in that quick clip.
At New Star Virero says that they are a sucker for flashbacks and origin stories. So they really loved the part where Scrooge met little Flinny. I thought that was funny. I love the design of young Flintheart Glomgold. And like we said, it's different from what we know from the comics of how they met and how the rivalry began. But I like this version too. I think it's very fitting for the characters.
Never met a shoe I couldn't shine. So, what brings you to South Africa?
Let's just say a certain savvy Scotsman got the Rain Queen of Ballad to make the Sahara Desert a little less dry. Just another day at the office for Scrooge McDuck.
Must be a big deal if you're referring to yourself in the third person. You know, Duke Baloney is kind of a big deal too. He's got tons of plans to make himself the richest duck in the world.
I think it was perfect. Scrooge does the most decent thing he can think of for the guy. I mean, he meets him, and Glomgold's got like all these crazy ideas of how he's going to be rich, and Scrooge instinctively says, "All right, what this guy really needs, he really needs someone to push him to work harder." And so he offers him that dime, and Glomgold just gets in his face, and he's like, "You're the richest duck in the world, and you really just gave me a dime."
You're the richest duck in the world, and you only gave me a dime?
Well, it's a symbolic gesture to teach you to work for your fortune, which is better than your half-cocked schemes.
Are you mocking me? How dare you? You think you're so rich and so Scottish?
I regret trying to help.
It's not his number one dime, right? It was just a dime.
Yeah, just a dime. An American dime. He was trying to give him, the same gift he was given. Because that's how he views it. And that just shows how different the characters are. I mean, Glomgold is the anti-Scrooge. Because he had the exact same thing happen to him. Because he was a shoeshine boy. And instead of embracing it and going and building his own fortune, he stole from Scrooge. And just tried to copy him. Or tried to be a better him, is what he did. I loved it. I agree. Great moment. So if I had to say what my favorite Glomgold moment was, it would definitely be the Duke Baloney's great. I love this episode. But my favorite Glomgold moment is still the McMystery at McDuck McManor. I still hate that title. But I loved those Glomgold scenes where he's trying to, he's brought a cake to blow up and it doesn't work and it's not his best moment. And, the line that's iconic now. I just love that episode. That's my favorite. And all these are great.
I think, Josh, weren't you saying your favorite moment was the coin toss?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna bring up that was my favorite moment in I was looking up the name of the episode, Morshire something.
Yeah, I think they call it Morshire in the
Morshire.
Yeah, it was because I would call it Morshire, but I think in the episode they call it Morshire.
Morshire?
Yeah, doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
We can call it Morshire. I'm on board with calling it Morshire.
It's the Missing Links of Moorshire. That's how I'm gonna say it. I'm saying it wrong.
We'll just take that. We'll take it on the chin.
That is one of my favorite moments is the coin flip, where he loses the coin flip and then Scrooge says, "Oh, you can go first anyway," and he's like, "Ah!" It's hilarious.
That episode had a great deal of Glomgold in it too, and that's when we knew the formula was for a great episode. I'm glad they put it forward and for this Ballad of Duke Baloney.
Can you pick a favorite moment?
I still think I'm going back to the White Agni episode where he's saying the story as him, how he sees it in his head, and it's this different form of himself, and I just crack up and I watch it all the time, and I think it's so funny.
Well, those are our favorite moments, and those of our listeners and followers on Twitter. And we'll try to come up with more stuff like that. I think this is fun, talking about the various parts of the episodes and our favorite moments. If you've got an idea for a top 5 or top 3, if all 3 of us are on here, we probably ought to limit it to top 3. But any ideas for a list that we could put together and talk about on the show, you can send that to @DuckTalksPod@gmail.com or Twitter @DuckTalks. Let's jump into some news. We had some breaking news. We knew both of these were going to happen, but we actually got a clip for the 3 Caballeros. So that was pretty awesome. Were you able to watch it, Pirate?
Oh, I loved it. It's definitely going to be one of those. I've seen a minute of it, of that whole of this next episode, and I think it's going to be in my top 5 funniest episodes already, just from that one clip.
What'd you think about it, Josh?
I thought it was great. I mean, there wasn't much in there, but you could see that they had a camaraderie between the 3 Caballero group. I don't know a whole lot of what's going to be going on, but you could see how there is like a history between them, and it's kind of bringing it to DuckTales, which is really awesome. And I just got a good little laugh about Donald dropping one of the eggs of the triplets.
And Huey and Louie looks over at Dewey. It was great.
and he like blinks funny.
And I love the secret handshake where Louie licks his hand.
Right. So this episode's going to premiere this coming weekend. So that's this week on November the 10th, 7:30. And it's the town where everyone was nice. So that tip that it could be Bahia was correct. It does look like that's what's going on with this episode. And I'm with you guys. The camaraderie between these characters was amazing. And I'm completely ready to watch this episode. If they brought it out tonight, I'd stay up and watch it. I can't wait. I don't know why these characters are some of my favorites. Ever since we went to Walt Disney World, my family's just really enjoyed these characters, and so I'm ready to see them in DuckTales. This past weekend, we watched 3 Caballeros, the original animated movie. Not what I expected.
Yeah, it's different than I expected the first time I saw it. How did your girls like it?
They loved it. Every minute of it. They were dancing around, trying to sing along to songs they didn't know. It was great. They did. They absolutely loved it. I enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I didn't realize that Saludos Amigos was first. Is that correct? So like they already met. They met in that movie.
Yeah, Panchito isn't even in Saludos Amigos.
Oh, okay. So I probably would have watched that first just because, I'm like that. But, the animation's awesome. I was really into the beginning of the movie. By the last half of it, I started to be like, okay, I feel like this movie should be about over, and it kept going. And that was my only issue with it. I felt like it could have ended earlier on a high note. And I felt like where it ended up by the end, I was kind of checked out. But I can't wait for them on DuckTales. I said that because some people have been asking online what I thought of it because they knew I was going to watch it. So that's what I thought. I enjoyed it. We bought it. We'll watch it again. The girls probably would have already watched it again had it not been for Duke Baloney. Because I can't tell you how many times we've watched that so far. Oh, one more thing about that. If you look at those images and in that video, there's a bunch of vines all over the place. And Pink Pearl in our Discord has been learning Portuguese. And there's an image with a bunch of Portuguese words in the behind Webby. And so she has translated that. And we actually had someone else reach out to us with a translation on that to confirm it. Rafaela, who sent us an email a few weeks back. And it says something about destruction of the city and blood. So those vines are going to be deadly, it looks like. In like the middle of the week, Disney's press website put up an image for the Christmas episode that's coming out. The episode title is Last Christmas. We actually learned about this from our buddy on Twitter, Eric. Eric's written a couple of blogs for us now. Some guest blogs. One up today about a sale at the Disney store, which is over by the time you hear this, so I really didn't need to bring it up. But there is a little bit of detail. So there's an image that they put up, and we see, a lot of the family in Christmas attire. There's a tree, and then we see a couple, actually all three of the characters who we are going to assume are representing Christmas Carol. Ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. I know Pirate was very excited about this when these characters leaked back at San Diego Comic-Con. Or not leaked, they were shown, but I don't know that everybody on the internet was supposed to see them.
Right. And also they show, you see Launchpad, and Launchpad has a menorah sweater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm noticing that in the Christmas Carol, Jiminy Cricket which ghost was he?
Past.
So it looks like a grasshopper. I'm thinking that's going to be past as well. So it looks like we've got everything lines up. It should be Christmas Story related or Christmas Carol related. Christmas Story is a totally different movie. One of my favorites. Anyway, there is a little bit of detail on the episode on the website. It's not really a description, but I thought we'd go ahead and read it. It says, DuckTales Last Christmas beginning December 1st. ABC, Freeform, Disney Channel, Disney XD, and Disney Junior will be airing holiday-themed programming and entertainment for the whole family throughout the month, leading up to Christmas Day on the Disney Channel. So it does look like there'll be a break the week before Thanksgiving, and, they're going to want to play it all December long. That's what they're saying here. There is also a little bit of a description. Actually, I'm not going to read that because it's pretty much what we already said, just confirming it. So it looks like a fun time. We were anticipating this from the San Diego leaks. That's all I got in the news, unless you guys got anything else.
I don't know. Just seeing that image, though, that it looks like there might be singing. I wish there was a DuckTales Christmas album in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there will be.
Maybe it'll be filled with singing and dancing.
Well, they could have an album with all the actual music they have at some point, because there has been songs throughout the other episodes.
Yeah, and Kahuna Potato was telling me over on Twitter that they've picked up on themes for the characters, so so the show's playing the same themes for certain characters and certain moments. There's really I'm not that musically inclined. I'm pretty tone deaf. I don't hear it as much until someone points it out to me, but maybe that's something we need to go back and look at. There's definitely some great music on this show, and they've done a tremendous job with, obviously the title theme. I love this version of that song, and they've done a great job. Don Carnage, great episode with the Sky Pirates. Give me more DuckTales music.
Well, there's two versions of the Don Carnage song. You have the Don Carnage led version and the reprise with Dewey. So that's two songs.
And all the other pirates.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Duck merch. So we get into this Baloney episode.
We got Duck merch. Woo-hoo.
Not a lot in Duck merch at the moment. So we'll start with the immediate. So this week, what has come out, because you'll be able to listen to this after Wednesday. What has come out this week, DuckTales issue 14 came out this week. Scrooge, IDW's been doing a series where they're reprinting this in the U.S. for the first time. But it's Uncle Scrooge, My First Millions. So the second issue of that series comes out this week. And the Disney Afternoon Giant 1 comes out this week. So a big week for IDW comic fans. We already got our hands on our preview copies to be able to work on reviews. And Disney Giant 1 has me pretty excited. I've never read these stories before, so getting to read them for the first time. At first I didn't really get why people, a lot of people were pretty harsh on the DuckTales comic. This is from Kaboom Studios, or is it Boom Studios? I think it's Boom Studios. This is where they were originally published. I didn't really get why as I was reading the story, but towards the end I started to see it. There is some stuff that's off with some of the characters, but overall I really enjoyed it. The art is phenomenal, and the Rescue Rangers story alone is worth that cover price. You can find those this week. You can either find them at your local comic book store, or you can go to Amazon, Comixology, read it on your Kindle. Whatever works for you. We also have, now this is not releasing soon. This is scheduled to be released on July 16th of next year. We have the latest volume of the DuckTales comic, the trade paperbacks. And this one is titled Monsters and Mayhem. So this will be a collection of, if you've been waiting to pick up instead of getting the single issues of the current ongoing DuckTales comic, that'll be your next volume. Comes out July 16th. So that's all we have for Duck merch this week.
The new Funko Disney Afternoon action figures are starting to show up in stores. I was at GameStop and I saw the 4 figures that are included in the new lineup, and they look outstanding. So definitely recommend people picking those up when they can, and also backfilling and getting this wave 1 while they're on clearance as well.
Yeah, I found some good deals. I haven't come back across a Scrooge. It's the only one I need.
Scrooge has been pretty cheap on Amazon as like an add-on item. I think it's like $6 or something like that right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to put together a $25 order so that I can get him there. Because that's the best value I can find. Unfortunately, they had him at Target clearance not too long ago, and I didn't get it.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is Tad Stones, one of our favorite people on this planet. He is doing a charity auction of some original artwork for a charity that helps feed kids and show them a good time around Christmas time. I think it's for like over 600 children. They have like 80 characters from Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, entertainment, and then they feed all these kids. So he works a lot with that charity. It's called Combat Radio Christmas 8, and they have a GoFundMe, and he has a couple of prints that are currently up for blind auction. How that works is you see the pictures that that he has up for auction, and this batch is all Darkwing Duck related. There's one with it's great. Then they're all freaking ridiculously awesome. The only way you can get like Tad Stone's original art is if you find him at a convention, and these are all great original pieces. And he has one that's called Daughter and Dad, and it is and all these pieces are 9x12. And you email him at the address that we have on DuckTalks, or you can find it on the on Ted Stone's Twitter, but you bid on the price, you bid on what your maximum is for this item that you think it will go for, and at the end of the time that he has selected, which is November 9th at 10 p.m., he'll email you if you're the winning bidder, and then you just go to the GoFundMe account and pay for or do your donation. But it's a great way to get Tad Stone's art, as well as a great cause to donate to.
Yeah, he's got some great pieces on there too. I saw there was one with the Justice Ducks, and then I saw some with Launchpad and Gosselin with Darkwing. So a lot of great images and phenomenal artist. Sounds like a great cause. If you were looking to get, 9x12, I think those typically sell for over $100 at his booth anyway. I think they were over $150, maybe even close to $200 at his booth. So you're going to have an opportunity to get these pieces and be able to support this charity.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to I saw a piece that I really loved. I know you got to meet him and see him at Dragon Con, and I knew there was a piece there that had the original Darkwing Duck. He is, of course, is the creator of that character, and then he also did in this drawing the DuckTales 2017 version of Darkwing, and I thought that was a really cool print. And one of the people we talked to on social media actually bought that piece, and I was kind of jealous of it. It looked so awesome. And for his blind auction, he had a piece with the double Darkwings in the Ratcatcher. So I put in a bid, and when I got back from my vacation, I found out that I had won it, and I was so ecstatic. I can't wait to get it framed and show you all how great it looks.
Go check that out. Yeah, you wrote a blog, so they can actually go to the website DuckTalks.com and see some of the artwork and see. I guess we had a link to his Twitter.
Yeah, all the information is on DuckTalks.com.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Ballad of Duke Baloney. First things first, 30-second recap. Pick your numbers.
I'm gonna go with 2.
Josh still there?
So I'm gonna go with 3. Sorry, for some reason I muted my thing.
All right, here we go. So that's gonna leave me with 1, and it's 2.
Nah, okay, that's fine. Isn't it always 2?
And
it always will
1.
be.
I think last week it was 1 when we did the podcast.
I think it was whatever I was left with. I know that. I'm always excited when it's not me. All right, I've got my stopwatch open.
Here, let me do mine because I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, it's always easier if you get the stopwatch in front of you. So you can just do it and tell us what your time was.
It's 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, you've got 30 seconds.
All right, this is the Ballad of Duke Baloney. It's a Glomgold episode. We all love Glomgold episodes. We get to see him as a young child in South Africa. His name was Duke Baloney when he met Scrooge McDuck. Scrooge tried to teach him a lesson, and after that, he wants to teach Scrooge a lesson. He gets mad at Scrooge's boat when he loses memory and joins the Fisher people. And at the end of the episode, he is mad and goes back to Flintheart Glomgold. 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So we've already said a lot about this episode.
We did say a lot, but let me get to the main point of this episode.
Okay.
I loved the whole season 1. I loved how it started off, and we at the very first episode we knew there was going to be a Della story throughout the season, and then we found out about Lena and Magica, and then we knew that the end of the season was going to have this huge fight with Magica. Mm-hmm. And we knew that the whole season. It's kind of like the build up and your reward for watching the whole season. And we got that at the end of this episode with the bet of who is going to be the richest duck. And then the other person is going to have to close down their business.
Which is a classic DuckTales.
It's a classic DuckTales episode. They want, it was golden fruit, right?
I think so.
They both wanted golden fruit from a guy, and whoever was the richest duck would get it. So they had to bus all their money over to this place and dump the money on scales, and that's how they determined it. So that's kind of the throwback of what the whole bet is going to be. But I love that we now have something to look like. I feel like that's going to be the finale episode.
Yeah.
From the season, where of course we still got the Della story.
Well, in that story, and it may have been another one, because I feel like this story is like a classic DuckTales story that may have happened more than once. In that story, doesn't Scrooge end up poor and loses everything, and then he has to gain it back somehow? Or is that a different DuckTales story that I'm thinking of?
There is one where he...
And Glomgold's in that. He's against Glomgold. It's another competition. I'll have to look that up.
I know there's one where he gets a piece of land from Glomgold. Oh, no.
Are you thinking of the introduction to Gizmo Duck? Or to Bubba?
I think there's one... Oh, no, I wasn't thinking... Oh, there is that one. There is that one, too. But I was thinking there's another one with Goldie where she has a piece of land where he's trying to get something because it has gold in it, and Glomgold's trying to figure out why he wants that land so badly.
This episode definitely set us up for the season, just like Pirate's saying, with a story that's going to be like a classic DuckTales, but we know it's going to be the new DuckTales spin on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our new ongoing story, along with we've got a continuation of Della. We've got something different going on. I mean, they're not searching for Della anymore. They're okay with where they're at now with Della. They think Della's lost forever. They've hung her picture back over the mantle. But she's going to show up at some point. I mean, it has to happen in season 2 because we know the voice actress did work for season 2. But yeah, I love that they use this episode. It's got so many great scenes, so many great moments, a lot of great laughs. And then there at the end when he walks back in and Scrooge has got that funny face, because he's surprised that he's there. And he just completely turns the tables. And when he makes that wager and they shake hands, I was like, wait a minute. This is exactly what I would expect from DuckTales, but I wasn't expecting this. Hey, this episode, let's talk about some of the people who worked on it. It was written by Colleen Evanson and directed by Jason Zurich. And then it was boarded by Mike Morris, Sebastian Duclos. Sorry if I messed that up. And Sam King. Pirate mentioned Sam earlier. Some great DuckTales creators, and we've been enjoying their work. It's this was a great episode.
Another cool thing about this episode is we had another throwback to the DuckTales movie, which I love the DuckTales movie. And there's a scene where Scrooge and Flintheart Glomgold are climbing a pillar rock to get to the lamp, and you got to see that as part of the flashbacks that Flintheart Glomgold has. And we have that one that was a throwback to DuckTales the movie, but we also in the intro we get to see the scorpions from the movie. And at San Diego Comic-Con they had one of the bad guys from DuckTales the movie. They showed concept art for him in the new DuckTales, so we're getting more and more characters and scenes and from DuckTales movie, which sounds very promising. Maybe we'll get the genie at some point.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would think that would make for a great episode.
They did have the lamp in one of the episodes.
It was the premiere. It was in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I love throwbacks and in my head getting that nostalgia feeling from other eras of DuckTales.
Oh, season 2 is going to be phenomenal. There's just no doubt about it. Show just keeps getting better. We keep saying that because it's still true. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. You can reach out to us at DuckTalks on Twitter. You can also send us an email if you've got more to say. You can't fit it in a tweet. At ducktalkspod@gmail.com. You can also go to our blog, ducktalks.com, and check out all the information that we're sharing each and every day. So we had some stuff about some sales. We had some stuff about Tad Stone's auction. We've been talking about the future episodes that are coming up, and we've been doing episode reviews, so you should see another one of those before the end of the week. So yeah, you can check us out at ducktalks.com. And, if you enjoyed this episode, or if you enjoyed any of our episodes, whatever podcatcher you're using or over on YouTube, please give us a like, subscribe, follow. We really appreciate it. Until next time.
Stay Glomgold.
Night, guys.
DuckTalks is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, or audio clips played on this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. It's
You
the
guys
week.
time change too? Oh, sorry.
That's good.
Sorry, I'll let you.
That was good. That was perfect.
Yep.
Good job, Josh.
Bloopers. All this is getting cut out. This is behind the scenes.
Free shipping.
Free shipping. That's what it says.
Did you say that?
Short. Can we
Did I
say
say-
that? I don't know if
Can
we're
we
allowed to
say
say that.
Oh,
Okay.
because it just gets so much better with the way that. I mean, okay.
All right. I read it. I was like, what? Okay.
Oh man.
I was good until you started laughing again.
Sorry. I'm done now.
New Star Viero says at New Star Viero. This is such a Mitch one too.
That's what I've been trying to say.
How many times do I have to tell you? We are not a thing.
Classic Glomgold repartee.
Wait, how did this happen?